The following contest is scheduled for one fall with a 60-minute time limit. Making their way down the aisle, Carlos, Mark, Nick, and Remy, the Entrance Ramp Podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Entrance Ramp Podcast. I am your host, Nick Vega, alongside my co-host, Carlos Rodriguez.
Yeah.
And Mark Lindsay.
Hey everybody, how are you today?
We're just going to do a rapid-fire rundown of this week's events in wrestling. We'll start off with Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw crowned a new U.S. champion. Apollo Crews defeated Andrade. How do we feel, gentlemen, about Apollo Crews being the new U.S. champion? Will you think he gives some prestige to that title again, or is that title just completely dead in the water? Mark, you seem like you have a chuckle.
Listen, I'm tired of being negative, okay? I want to be positive, and the positive Mark will come out later on in the show when we discuss the other promotion. Listen, I am a big fan of Apollo Crews. I am a big fan of him. I think Paul Heyman is as well. There's one guy who's not, and that's Vince McMahon. And these pushes that stop, start, it's getting ridiculous. I'm happy for Crews as a person. This is a big achievement for him personally to have a singles championship on the biggest promotion, the biggest show in wrestling right now. Mm-hmm. With that said, I don't have any positive feeling that this is going to lead to something or something bigger, something better for him. I think this is, a year ago we were talking about how awesome Ricochet was. Where's he at? What's he doing? It doesn't mean anything anymore, Nick, and that's the sad thing. So could they revamp him and the U.S. title and make it important? They could. Will they? Absolutely not.
Carlos, what do you think needs to be done?
Yeah, I think we have to see what happens this Monday because, like Mark said, like he's been getting pushed and stopped, and then this past, like when he got the injury angle, that was the time I was like, dude, he's done again. Like that's it. Like, and it seems like Mark said, Heyman likes him. Heyman's hot for him, but he was hot for Cedric. He was hot for Ricochet, and he was hot for Andrade. And look what's happened to all of them. Andrade's got the biggest push out of anyone because he has a stable and all this stuff. But now he lost the U.S. title. That title is meaningless. The best thing they could do would be, because Apollo Crews is such a babyface and like a legitimate like athlete, do an open challenge thing too. I know it would sound like a counterpoint to what AEW is doing with their title, and we'll talk about that later. But I think it would benefit more because we seen did it when he was the U.S. champion. I loved it, and I think someone else did it as well after Cena won.
Rollins.
It was Rollins.
Yeah, Rollins did it.
Yeah, why not do that? Revamp that, like make that like you have to defend every week or something. And that'd be cool. If you take that title off of a pay-per-view, right? Pay-per-views become like shorter unless it's like a big pay-per-view thing and you want to showcase that title for that like, storyline reason. But every Monday, you have to do that. You have to defend the title. Revamp the look of it too. It's stale. It's been around since what, like 2005, like that?
Yeah, it's been around for at least a decade or two.
Yeah, so revamp the style because we just did that with the IC title. And we'll talk about that on my segment. But revamp the title, and make him a believable like champion. I'm happy for him, but we have to see what happens this Monday and moving forward.
The one difference I will say between Apollo Crews and the gentleman that you named, Ricochet and Cedric Alexander, and even Andrade, is that Apollo Crews is ripped. I mean, Vince might not like a lot of things in his life. He likes jacked dudes. Dudes that are jacked, he's like, all right, I'll give him a shot. What he really needs is somebody to carry that promo, side of wrestling, because Vince loves that side a lot more than the actual wrestler. I mean, a la Shorty G. His name's Shorty G, but he might be the best wrestler on that roster.
He really is, honestly, yeah.
Vince doesn't care about the wrestling. He cares about the promos and the entrances and all that other shit. But I think Apollo Crews could do well. Everything needs to be revamped, though. His character, the title, he's got a fresh restart. We'll see what happens from here on out. Speaking of brand new, we have a brand new number one contender for the women's title. It is Nia Jax. She defeated Charlotte Flair and Natalya in a triple threat match, which I thought was great because Natalya and Charlotte Flair kept Nia out of the match any way they could and worked as a team throughout the match so they can face each other one-on-one. Do we think that WWE will pull the trigger on Nia Jax again, or is Asuka just untouchable for a while because she technically took it from the man, Carlos?
I think we're gonna have Asuka have a pretty lengthy title run. I think at least until SummerSlam. I think if you make that title change too soon, it kind of diminishes like what Becky did. I feel like Becky had a hand in kind of like picking who she wanted. You would have that feeling, right? Like she has the clout to do that. And I think Asuka winning it right now, being a champion, it is a perfect showcase to show how dominant she can be. And I think she needs some more matchups. Like I think we need her as champion fighting Charlotte. And actually, that would be a great SummerSlam, but Asuka winning, and then something else could happen after. But I think SummerSlam would be a good just a 3-month reign at least if you're going to take it off of her. I'd rather it not be Nia. She's not
trustworthy.
Trustworthy with the ring. Like some people don't get hurt, and then other people are Kari Sane.
Mark, do we see anything happening? Is this just a stepping stone for Asuka going over Nia Jax, or do you see Vince pulling the trigger and just saying, "Hey, I want a monster heel to take hold of the title because a babyface has had the title for a year plus"?
I'm going to give a very smart-ass answer and say that he better hope that he doesn't pull the trigger too soon, because every opponent that steps in the ring with Nia won't be available a week down the road.
Yeah.
So,
they got their taping.
Look, the character of Nia is better than the wrestler Nia. And the character Nia deserves to be world champion, should have this beast-like run, but she hurts everybody. She's not ready, and I don't know.
You think she'll ever be ready? I mean, I said, do you think she'll ever be ready?
Yes, I do. I do think she'll be ready. I just think that I don't. You know what? I don't know what I think. I'm a fan of Nia. I'm a fan of the character Nia. I'm just not a fan of the wrestler Nia. So I'm probably not the best person to ask for that. But yeah, I see her beating Asuka, like Carlos said, probably at SummerSlam. Build it up as this huge monster, kind of like AEW did with Nyla Rose. She didn't win the championship right off the bat. I knew she was going to be eventual champion.
Right.
Kind of how it is with Nia Jax.
Yeah, and I agree with Mark. Like the character Nia and the person Nia seem to be awesome. It's just the wrestler Nia is not.
Definitely. And switching gears, going to the WWE champion, Drew McIntyre. He seems to have a major beef with MVP and Lashley. Do we see Drew McIntyre eventually turning heel down the line, just because he's so good at being a badass? For me, it's harder to cheer for a badass, that just plows through his opponents than it is a bad guy plowing through his opponents. Mark, do we see any change?
No.
Actually, no. Just
I'm not even going to let you finish the question. No, because Drew McIntyre. Let's put this into perspective. He is probably one of the hottest wrestlers right now on that brand. He would be getting a huge push if there were people in the stands. He would be the most loudest pop. No.
Let me alter my question before you answer, Carlos. Let me alter this question real quick. Do we think that that Lashley MVP will try to squirm a way to make this a handicap match?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, because I like that character MVP is like skirming his way through everything. Like he took Lashley away from Lana. I mean, he was right in all sense.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody's right about that.
Exactly, but like I think he's been having matches too. So I think it'd be cool. This might be MVP's first ever main event match, right? Like I can't think of any pay-per-view that he's had. It's gonna happen. Now that you said that, it's gonna happen.
I know we want to move on, but I want to also just point out that MVP has been an MVP. He has been fun to watch during this entire run.
Definitely. Yes.
Yeah, just not even just backstage, but like doing the wrestling, doing the talking. He's
having the VIP lounge.
He's so well rounded. And then when he left WWE or was released, he definitely like upped his game, moveset wise.
Who would have thought, 5 years ago that wrestlers from 10 years ago are going to be headlining, Monday Night Raw?
Drew McIntyre
and MVP and Bobby Lashley. These dudes have been gone for like ever, and then they come back and they're so well polished. It's a beautiful thing to see for hard work. It always pays off. So switching gears, we're going to talk about NXT. The first thing on my list for NXT is obviously Drake Maverick is in the finals. We talked about it last week with the triple threat match and where it would go. And it seems like they're going to continue the Drake Maverick storyline, and I think that's awesome.
He gets a match on pay-per-view too.
Does he win? That's my question to you gentlemen.
No, I don't think he does, but I think it was a great showing. I don't know if he gets hired. I think that's a more intriguing thing. Like, does he get rehired? I mean, we see.
What if he wins and doesn't get rehired? Just holds the belt hostage. That storyline is right there for you.
Well, he shows up on Impact Wrestling with the NXT.
Yeah, I'm not saying Impact Wrestling because I don't think Vince would let that slide as a story. But show it to one of WWE's affiliates. He goes off. He goes off to Evolve and shows off the Cruiserweight title and is like, listen, I'm the real champ. Go have another tournament, which is hilarious because he's not even the real champ.
Jordan Devlin.
Yeah, like that. I think I got Drake Maverick in this. I think, they should pull the trigger because this storyline is taking off. And, when the iron's hot, you got to go for it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea having him as champion. I just don't see it happening just because of his contract status. And also I think kind of Hijo de Fantasma needs to. That's a great introduction to him, right? He's had some good promo work. He's had great matches, and then be like, he's also our champion. And then him and Jordan Devlin can put on the show, man. That'd be a showcase.
So I got to know from you too, Mark.
I could see them pulling the trigger, and then having it be like the ECW title run of Tommy Dreamer, where like he wins the big match, and then like the same show, somebody challenges him and he drops it, and that's it. But I remember that. But then that would be the comedy Drake Maverick and not the Drake Maverick we've been getting. So
right.
The storyline is intriguing. I'm sorry, I'm going to sound like a broken record. I just hate the fact that they've turned this real life situation into a storyline. While it's been an interesting storyline, I will not rip them for that. The fact is that most likely there's a 90% chance that unless they secretly resign Drake, he's gone. And if I'm Drake Maverick and I'm really not re-signed, this is a devastating storyline to be part of because you're giving the audience hope that's not there. So it's kind of frustrating for me, but I've been enjoying it at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that the cool thing would be like he gets showcased, but like the weird thing is where would he go? Like, right? Not every place is hiring, and some places are getting like too full. Like we know AEW doesn't want to like expand too much, and they've been doing like smart and correctly. How they've been expanded and using other talent from like smaller promotions like QT's thing, like his gym and stuff like that.
Not only where would he go, but he can't take the Drake Maverick name with him. So all this stuff is getting like we'll know him as Spud McKenzie or whatever the hell he was called before.
Spud McKenzie.
Damn, that's a callback. That's awesome.
We'll know him as Rockstar Spud from Impact, but we won't know. He won't be able to use Drake Maverick in Ring of Honor. So like that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah, and like how many places are putting shows on? Like that's the thing. Like. Yeah, okay, Impact would sign them because they're doing some stuff, but like ROH is done till this is over. Like, and that's not a bad thing. Like they're just shuttered for a moment. Like AEW probably wouldn't hire him just because he's a great character, but like they're getting full right now.
We got Marco Stunt. They don't need him.
Yeah. we got Marco we got Rockstar Spud at home. Marco Stunt.
Right. Like they're good. I think they re-sign him. They have to. It's like I think I think that
would be beautiful. Like honestly, if he loses but they re-sign him, I think that's the better storyline.
I feel like they have no choice but to sign him. I mean, how much is he really going to cost WWE in the grand scheme of the public eye? If they re-sign him, they look good. If they don't, they look like dicks.
Then they let go of stars like Zack Ryder for nothing. I mean, like Zack Ryder. Let's not take away. I'm sorry. I'm going to go off topic.
No.
Zack Ryder is the king of getting himself over. He did it not twice, but 3 times. He got himself over on his own to the point that WWE had to push him. And then he gets released with this group of people that got released a month ago. And then Drake Maverick is having the chance to shine on TV. Where's Zack Ryder? If anybody deserved to go out with a storyline like this, it was Zack Ryder. He was former tag team champion.
I'm pretty sure he's a former U.S. champion as well.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, he won both mid-card titles.
He's definitely decorated, and I understand the
Guys, he's 224 pounds. He can lose that.
We'll go for the Buddy Murphy thing.
Yeah, no, he can lose
where he got to make weight.
Yeah,
I mean they could have did something like that for him, but I think Drake Maverick was just in a special spot. You know, you had the Corona thing, which stopped Jordan Devlin from being the champ, and then now he had the tournament, and then his whole storyline just fell into place. I think it's just a fall into place thing.
I wonder also if people are hot on him, people like him. He seems like a likable dude, right? Look at all the stuff he's done for WWE. He did
I will say backstage.
He was the general manager of 205 Live. He pissed himself on live air. That killed his character. That's the one.
Right, that killed his character.
He had good matches on 205 Live. He was legit. When someone brought that up, he's like, all right, but I am a wrestler, and now he's get the showcase on this cruiserweight tournament, which has been really great. Maybe someone likes him enough to be like, yo, man, all right, you proved it to us. We're really gonna hire you then.
Well, we'll see. So switching gears, Tommaso Ciampa and Karrion Kross seem like they're on a collision course. I can't see this going any other way than Karrion Kross defeating Tommaso Ciampa.
Yeah, no, he needs that win.
I guess is this the correct opponent for his first go around in NXT?
Yeah. Yep. 100%. Yeah, because he's going over the top dog. Yeah.
And remember that I'm looking at this from a fresh set of eyes. This is the first really experience I've seen of Kross, and I think that if WWE wants to push him the way that he should be pushed, you got to have him go over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely think a lot of people this is their first time. I saw him in Impact just a little bit, but not enough to really understand who his character is. So it's going to be exciting to see.
And it doesn't hurt Tommaso. It doesn't.
No, not at all. He's pretty much untouchable in NXT.
It would have been weird if he lost Leon Ruff this Wednesday. That would have been bad for Tommaso. But Karrion going over on him is fine.
Right. Well, he did. It's funny that you mentioned the jobber because Ciampa made it a point to put him out quickly just to show how good he is because Kross put him out the week before, but it took him a little bit more time. And final question, Matt Riddle. Obviously, I'm going to steal a little bit of your thunder. He's on to SmackDown now, so this is his final match in NXT versus Thatcher.
What a way to go!
Yeah, how brutal was that match, guys? It
was fun to watch. Look, I texted you guys. Mm-hmm. I could not believe that he lost his teeth.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, he covered up in time, and no, he did not.
No, man, and I think they've had apparently bangers in the independent scene, but having it on WWE on primetime TV, Kurt Angle's there. I think everything.
I forgot Kurt Angle was there.
That's how good this match was. You forgot Kurt Angle was a special guest.
Well, he wasn't involved, so that was the best part. He was just.
But it brought some kind of legitimacy too. Wasn't that weird? When they heard, because he's so cool. I was like, man, this just feels better. It feels. I
think the name just added to it because if I said Matt Riddle versus Timothy Thatcher to any normal wrestling casual fan, they're like, who the fuck are you talking about?
Now, I love this match type. I love this setup. I don't know who else could use it, but other than them two.
I was gonna say, should that be Thatcher's signature match, real quick? Yes or no?
Sure.
Yeah. I think that would be great.
Taker and Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, that could work too, and it could work for Riddle too. If we'll talk about it. That's one of my talking points. But
you might we'll hop right into
it. Yeah. So Riddle's over SmackDown.
We'll just run right into SmackDown. Go ahead, let's take it over.
Yeah, Riddle got his ass beat so bad he went to SmackDown. So he ran no, I'm good, brother. I'm gonna make this more money over here,
bro.
But no, so he's over to SmackDown. So that and that was because his NXT contract was expiring. Obviously, AEW would have. day one, AEW is like, here's $1 million. Here you go. Here's cash. Here's cash money right here.
Right.
So WWE knowing that and knowing that he can make more money and that NXT doesn't make enough money, offered him a contract, like full roster contract. So when he's going to SmackDown, and that opens up all these opportunities, right, of matches. Maybe he'll fight Goldberg finally. No, he won't. But I know
you might be right about that. I wouldn't put that past WWE at some point. You know,
I know.
A 63-year-old Bill Goldberg squashing three-time champion Matt Riddle.
Yep.
You know,
a real UFC.
It'll be like Triple H and the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh my God! Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh my God! But yeah, so like that was up all these match types, right? So someone mentioned, was like, "Yo, y'all need to save Daniel Bryan versus Matt Riddle so I could be in the stands." Like, I didn't even think about that. That'd be a great match, and that match would work in that cage area. But what about like Riddle and Shinsuke? Let Shinsuke be the Shinsuke from New Japan, the one who has that MMA background, the one who like goes crazy. Like they're both enigmatic enough, like, and they're both great characters. Those promos would be weird and funny and hilarious, and then when they get in the ring, it would be so physical. You have all these new match types that you have, and it is one of the call ups that when you see it, you're like, oh man, like this is a good call up. But then also, this was bothered me. I don't know if you guys saw about it. Did AJ go to SmackDown so Raw gets future considerations? Wouldn't Riddle go to Raw then? Like anybody says,
trying to make sense of it.
Yeah. I was like, wait, if this is like real sports, wouldn't they like? Well, you already forfeited the right to game, buddy.
We talked about this last week. How do you trade within your whole like you're under the company like that? Like what? Like future cash like they like that like Raw on SmackDown or like the Eagles and the Cowboys and it's like we're gonna trade these players and picks for future considerations. Like what? No, that's not the same thing. It's totally different. Wrestling's under the same one umbrella, like whatever.
Yeah, that's not how that works. That's not how any of this works. But yeah, but like Riddle now like has all these opponents and all these match types, and then I put him right in the IC title, right? Why not? Like you could do that, especially if Daniel Bryan wins. You just have just a banging like SummerSlam crazy physical match. That'd be so good.
I mean,
or Drew Gulak. Now that he's signed, let's do that.
He signed back with WWE?
He was on SmackDown last night.
Okay.
They didn't make a big deal about it. That's why I'll just go into it next. Yeah. So Drew Gulak signed with WWE again. He's in the backstage segment. They didn't make, like Ryan said, didn't say anything about it, and like no one's talked about it, and no details come back of his like contract signing. But I'm assuming they figured out the money situation because that's what he wanted. He wanted more money for being where he was and being showcased the way he was, and he deserves it. That dude's a natural talent.
Well, we'll see what Matt Riddle does. If anything, he could form a stable. All wrestlers. Shorty G's in that stable. Along with Daniel Bryan, Drew Gulak, and Matt Riddle, and there you go. You got 4 premium wrestlers, technical wrestlers.
4 stallions. The 4 stallions.
Kind of doing something like that too. So you can steal off their gimmick if you want.
And then now look at SmackDown. Like SmackDown's kind of goes back to that wrestling show as long as they get showcased correctly, right? Like back in the day with the brand extension happening, SmackDown was a wrestling show. Raw was kind of like the storyline
sports entertainment, yeah.
And then now you have Daniel Bryan, Drew Gulak, Shinsuke Nakamura, Cesaro, Matt Riddle. You have all these people who actually like are really great in the ring. Maybe they could do something with Cesaro finally. Maybe they could do something with Shinsuke finally and have big storylines with these people. So, I mean, that was those 2 talking points for that specifically. And now just moving on, and speaking about the IC title tournament, we started SmackDown with the terrible storyline of Jeff Hardy looking like he's drunk driving and hit Elias. And it looks like he might have been attacked by Sheamus, but still, anything involving the cops, anything like that, it felt like a bad taste in the mouth. Nick, you stopped watching.
Yeah,
you saw that segment and you turned it off. Like that's indicative of how bad this was. Matt Hardy specifically tweeted out last night, "I'm very happy to be working for Tony Khan and AEW Wrestling." And that's like literally as the storyline was like, he's watching live, see what they did for his brother, and it was like, F this. I'm so happy to be working in this other company. Like, look how they treat my brother. And then, like, I want to get you guys' opinions because back in the day, we had CM Punk going after Hardy, and he mentioned his drug abuse and, you know, the fact that Punk's straight edge, and you guys are cheering for this guy who's a, you know, an addict and addicted to all this stuff. I mean, he never mentioned anything specifically. So what are you guys' thoughts about what happened, what transpired last night compared to what Punk did back in the day?
Well, some of the best heels are really the good guys.
Yeah.
You know, Punk was telling the truth during that storyline.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Macho Man Savage was telling the truth against Hulk Hogan in 1989. Liz was his girlfriend, man, and Hulk's all over.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So these storylines have a little bit of realism to them. I didn't see the SmackDown segment with Jeff Hardy. I will probably go out of my way today to watch it. But with that said, it's not the first time. They did it back in the 90s with Road Warrior Hawk. You know, if you remember the drunk angle there. And
yeah,
look, it's an escape route. Jeff Hardy was in the Intercontinental title tournament, right? So did he wrestle? I would assume no. So who was he supposed to wrestle? Sheamus?
No, Sheamus went in place of him.
Yeah, he wrestled Sheamus last week, beat him, and that's how he moved on to the semifinals to be against Daniel Bryan.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I didn't know. So this angle is how you take care of Jeff Hardy. You don't have him whatever.
The only thing, here's my problem. The only thing is, if from now here on out, Jeff Hardy's always going to be known as the addict wrestler.
Yeah,
it sucks because he's a great wrestler, but he's just got so many demons, and it keeps being brought up. You know, you mentioned 2 other instances before last night. Now it's 3 that he's an addict, and everybody knows Jeff Hardy had the worst match in all of wrestling fucking history
against Sting.
Against Sting. It was so bad that Sting broke character. Sting broke character in the middle of him walking up the ramp because he's like holding the title, like whatever, and the dude's like, "What the hell was that?" And he looks at him and he's like, "I know this is a crock of shit." Like,
for Sting to break character, for Sting to not have a good match, like,
just back to the SmackDown thing real quick. It's a whatever segment. I understand, you know, what they're trying to do because Elias was hurt in it, and his neck looked like it was hurt. He was supposed to face AJ Styles, and you know he didn't. So it was obviously, you know, Corbin who probably got in the way of that.
Yeah, it's either Corbin or Sheamus, but it's just like to evolve like the fact that he's actually drunk drove. And like it wasn't even well done.
It was like, just bad. It was just so bad. Like the cops weren't even real.
Terrible. Yeah.
Cops he looked at the steering wheel and then flipped the front panel down and the paper came flying down. It was one paper, nothing else.
A rental car.
For a rental car. Jeff Hardy's name is there. Renee, I was like, Jeff Hardy's one of our wrestlers. And then he goes, "Oh,
I'm sorry. If you're around there, we're like, you don't know who Jeff Hardy is? Get the hell out of here." Get the hell out of here! You didn't grow up in the '90s. Everyone knew who Jeff Hardy was.
Well, I'm just like, but there's camera crews right there with all the WWE. It just doesn't.
There's no cops.
It just so happens that right then and there, like, you know, like
you're telling me that the dude from CNN is getting arrested while on air live, and these cops are like, "Hey man, this is like a hit and run. Can y'all get the hell back?"
Right? Like, yeah, it was like all up in the.
Apparently, Florida is way different than Minneapolis.
Like, it looked like live PD, but like worse. Like,
I mean, like the angle was just bad in general, and then just a bad taste. It felt, and that's what I was thinking about last night. Like, I know the timer went off, but that was the one thing that kept bothering me. I was like, but I'm okay with Punk storyline from back in the day with the world title. Why am I not okay with this? Like, this seems weird and dirty this time.
Well, guess what, Carlos? We don't have to worry about talking about that garbage anymore because we're going to go into a subject which was fun.
Yes.
That's fun.
Hell yeah, man. Let's do this.
AEW presented Double or Nothing, and I'm telling you, I was very fortunate to be able to buy that show on pay-per-view, and it was very fun. Man. Top to bottom. The card was fantastic. I recommend that show. If you're watching this and didn't see it, catch the replay.
Yeah.
One bad match.
Okay, one bad match, but
I'm just saying.
And that bad match is just weird. It's a weird match.
It was
really.
bad. I saw Sean Spears' ass with Tully Blanchard.
It was awkward.
Payne Royce
so bad.
Payne Royce got to show off that.
And the worst part is those two dudes involved are great wrestlers.
Yeah, of course.
Great wrestlers.
That's the egregious thing of that pay-per-view.
But you know what though? I can't be. I whatever. I wanted to be just cut in a little bit on you, Mark. But you're right. It was an absolute great pay-per-view.
So from our standings perspective, Nick won the night with 5 correct predictions. Carlos came in second with 4, and I came in third and last with 3. And looking back, I really should have had my radical prediction about Cody winning the ladder match, but some of the big news coming out of Double or Nothing, Brian Cage was the mystery participant. He won the casino ladder match for a future opportunity, which will take place at Fyter Fest when they set up Fyter Fest. That will probably be in July.
Having Taz, man,
with Taz, which is a great
it's an endorsement. Yeah,
we had a wrestling clinic between MJF and Jungle Boy. Moxley retained the AEW World Title by defeating Brody Lee in what was a much better match than I anticipated.
Best match Brody Lee's ever had.
Yep.
The Inner Circle lost to the Elite, which I did not see coming. I thought they were going to continue that storyline for Blood and Guts, but Nick got that one right in his predictions. And of course, Cody Rhodes wins the TNT, which is being kind of developed like a TV title, which will move on to Wednesday night's Dynamite. He announced will be defended every week. And they had a battle royal with Jungle Boy winning the first battle royal. He will get a shot at Cody this Wednesday on Dynamite. I don't think any of us would predict that Jungle Boy is going to win the title, but I think it's still nice to see that the TNT title is going to be present. Nick, Cody Rhodes needed that championship, and he got it. Where do you see the storyline going? Do you see him, while he defends it every single week, do you see him putting over younger talent? Do you see him eventually? There has to be some kind of a feud, right? Who do you see it feuding with?
MJF. It's right there. Why not? He has that win over him, and he's the champ. MJF's going to want to take that belt from him by any means necessary. Now, I don't see that happening for a while. I don't think it'll happen at Fyter Fest. I think it'll happen at was it All In? That's that happens at the towards the end of September.
Yeah, it should be like a September.
Yeah, I can see that happening down there, but I see Cody Rhodes wrestling, Jungle Boy, Trent, even someone like Marco Stunt, I can see getting a shot at the TNT title just because Cody Rhodes does the work. That promo he gave, he's the best talker in all of wrestling right now. Hands down.
There was a comment made by Cody during a press conference leading up to Double or Nothing. This was a conference call, so it wasn't on TV, where he said that the TNT title will not go by the rankings. So this basically will allow anybody, like you said, Marco Stunt, this will allow anybody to challenge for that title, which I think is fresh because they're really trying hard to stick within the rankings for their world and tag team titles.
Right.
Yeah, and I think just to cut in real quick, I think this is going to be like you guys said, like a really good showcase for some of the younger talent. For not even just younger people who don't normally get like singles matches. Like you mentioned Trent, I think that's a great match. You can put Chucky T in there, man. Orange Cassidy, and then I think
Thoris, any of those dudes.
Yeah, honestly, and then you also, I think we're gonna get. I think his big virally and big probably storyline before MJF, I bet you will be Darby Allin. They've been building that virally all over.
Right, absolutely, and that would be a great way to get him over. That you would think that Cody Rhodes winning the TNT title would be one of the biggest news items that come out of AEW, but guess what? There's more. Mike Tyson, who handed Cody the TNT title on Saturday night, decided to come back for more. And who does he get in the ring with but none other than Le Champion Chris Jericho? Now, I liked and hated this all at the same time. This is my negative comment regarding AEW. This storyline came up. Now, I understand where Jericho's coming from. He is the talk of the town of AEW. He has taken AEW and helped make it prominent and what it is today. Mike Tyson is still just as big in the news as he ever was.
Even bigger.
Right, because he's trying to make a comeback at 53. Right.
Yeah.
So he's in the ring with Jericho, but then we get told that you got me in the ring 10 years ago. Well, guess where he was 10 years? He was in WWE 10 years ago. So you know what I did? I stopped watching AEW to pull up YouTube because I didn't remember that, to be honest with you.
I didn't either.
I took attention away from AEW to go to WWE, which I hope
not everyone did at the time, right? Yeah.
So I had no problem with Tyson and Jericho having an issue, but I have an issue with them referencing a 10-year-old feud. Carlos, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I want to kind of also kind of piggyback. There was someone in a wrestling group that me and Mark are part of called kind of wrestling Facebook group, and the guy Joey, he's like a big AEW guy, and he mentioned, he was like, oh, like I love that they mention older storylines, that they don't hide history. And I was like, I love it too, but in this regard with Jericho and Tyson, it's the weakest one they've done yet. A little cameo. No, it is the weakest version of it, because a random Raw that, like you said, Mark, I didn't remember like Tyson being there. You say Tyson, I'm like, oh yeah, he punched Shawn Michaels
right
in his last match before he retired, before he came back like years later. That's all I think of. I don't remember this random ass Raw where Tyson came up. I was like, and in my head, I'm like, oh, it's probably right before he went to the Hall of Fame. Like, that's all I could think of. Like, why would he be on a random ass Raw, especially he had nothing going on? Like, that's what brings that up. And I do like that AEW doesn't hide the fact that, like, you know, like New Japan's a thing, or that Cody was the NWA champion or the ROH champion. Like, that stuff happened, of course. That makes sense. But this is the weakest execution of it.
Right. Nick, this past week, actually yesterday, ESPN had an interview with Jericho that they posted on their website, and he was asked, do you think this being a WWE storyline affects AEW? And Chris Jericho had a comment that said, this isn't a WWE storyline. I can't ignore my 19 years there. This is a Chris Jericho storyline. So do you think that kind of saved the angle?
Yeah, I didn't think the angle was a total disaster. Like, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. You know, like, just because somebody else does it doesn't mean that they're trying to do it with malice or trying to take, you know, like, oh, I could do it better than you. It's just, it may have been an angle that worked. I mean, obviously, we all know that it worked best with Austin when that whole Tyson, because it was different. It'd be different if they had, like, see, WWE's smart in the sense of they kind of stay modern, because you got the Gypsy King, who's the king of boxing, going against Braun Strowman, who's the world champion. That didn't just line right up for them, you know, so that's fine. They could have did something else where they got a UFC star like a John Jones. I mean, they kind of did, because they had Henry Cejudo, who's, you know, a two-time champion and Olympic gold medalist in his own right, and what's his name? Oh God, it's eluding the crap out of me.
I know who you're talking about. The guy
Vitor Belfort. He was with them as well. It was his name was eluding me, but you know, he's a MMA legend as well. So you know, I like that they're mixing it up in terms of having actual real fighters show up sometimes. And then you got someone as great as Jericho who can carry storylines out of nothing. And, you know, I think we'll see something great. Will it be as great as Austin and Tyson? No, but I don't want to compare those two things, because that's two totally different, you know, aspects. So we'll see where this goes. But I will never, ever, ever, ever bet against Chris Jericho.
And neither will I. And, you know, if anybody's going to get the best out of Mike Tyson, if he does step in the ring, it will be Chris Jericho. So Cody wins a TV title. Tyson and Jericho have this great thing. That's all for AEW, guys. Let's pay. No, wait, there's more. There's more. Guess what, guys? FTR. They came to AEW. We are going to see at some point FTR versus the Young Bucks. What did you guys think about the introduction of FTR to AEW?
It was probably the best introduction for any star to get showed off. I mean, other than probably Moxley, like, I think they had the biggest, like, credibility behind them and biggest, like, draw to them. And Excalibur, I think this is one of the debuts that Excalibur did the best to kind of make you understand, be like, hey, they have history. You watch Being the Elite over the years, you know why the Revival are hot for the Young Bucks and probably the Elite in general.
Well, they're not the Revival anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's going to take some getting used to.
I know that
a lot of good excuses because I don't even know what is it? Fear the Revolt? Is that like the
Nope. He said for AEW, it says F the rest.
after rest?
Which I can't buy that shirt because if they could at least block 2 more letters out of that I could buy that. My son won't say that word. Can't do it now. Thanks, AEW. You lost $25 from me. I'll get the second shirt from them.
What do I think about the execution of the angle?
I thought it was great because it was exactly how they were. No nonsense. They pulled up in an old school truck. They didn't have, the bells and whistles. They just pulled up and beat the crap out of people.
But they beat the crap out of Butcher and the Blade.
Yeah,
right.
They saved
but they had
Young Bucks.
But they had to stare down with the Young Bucks. It could have easily just have been, this is our prey.
Well, look at their name, right? Look at their name. F the rest. They don't give a crap about anybody. They're going to take you out, and they're going to make money. That's all they do.
And that's the best way to push them across is that way.
And let's not forget, though, too, with AEW contracts, you have the ability to work Japan. So this doesn't close that door to New Japan. They could possibly go down that road down the line when all this craziness is over.
Well, I was going to say, it was kind of honestly reminiscent of Gallows and Anderson when they first showed up on WWE because they showed up in plain clothes and they beat the crap out of everybody. And you were just like, well, who are these guys? We knew who they were. But I try to look at it through the eyes of a casual, like, who could these guys be? And that's how wrestling should come across. You should be immediately attached to someone who is making their debut. Someone makes a debut against a squash guy and they don't have a great finishing move or a great entrance, you don't give a shit about them.
And I think taking out Butcher the Blade with the Shatter Machine, that was great, man. And just all the the little jabs, like watching me in the Elite this week.
I know Mark call the Shatter Machine.
I think they trademarked that, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh yeah, if it's trademarked, that's
theirs. One of them two trademarked that name.
They're smart cookies,
dude. They are smart. They're wrestling historians.
Yeah, I follow them, and
those guys
they just post about old school stuff all the time.
I can totally see the way that they set this up. I don't know when they're going to have the Young Bucks face them, but I would imagine it's going to be down the line. I could totally see them doing an 8-man tag against Best Friends and I don't know Chima and throw somebody else out there, right? Where they pretend to get along, or where one of them doesn't tag the other team, they only tag within each other, and kind of having that be a lead up to a 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 tag. But the way that happened, I could see them teaming up before they wrestle each other, which I think could introduce a whole new interest.
Could you guys imagine if they pull the storyline early, we get it at All In, right? Young Bucks versus FTR. Can you imagine we have possibly 2 of the greatest tag team matches ever in wrestling in the same year?
With the Young Bucks,
with the Young Bucks, just solidifying that they're the best tag team in the world.
I am not the biggest Young Bucks fan. I am a fan of them, but I'm not. They do too much high spot monkey stuff for me.
Matt Hardy said.
They're entertaining. FTR will make the tag team division even more legitimate. If you want to push SCU again or Best Friends, they're going to make everybody else better by being in that division.
There's so many tag teams in AEW that could go. I mean, isn't number 1 in the rankings still Udo and Grayson? Or did they get bumped out?
No, they got knocked down because of they mentioned that coronavirus knocked them down.
Yeah. they don't shy away. That's another good thing AEW does, man. They don't shy away.
That's their fault though. The coronavirus knocked them down.
I think it was a passing comment, but they mentioned it. They said they're going down the rankings because they're unable to compete due to the pandemic, but they're still in the top 5.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
I mean, it's true.
I think
it does, but that's not their fault. You can't fault them for being you could put an asterisk against them or something, or make it so no matter how they fall in our rankings, when they come back, they'll have a legitimate shot at that number 1 contender.
Yeah, just build that storyline. That's easy. Yeah, and the fear is about them always getting screwed over anyway. So why not? That works.
Because I'm convinced Brody Lee after that match convinced me. Not to join the Dark Order, like Carlos has pledged all since day 1.
He already signed us up.
All right, signed you up.
Yeah, he gave our souls away after the second episode.
Yeah, it was like the third week of Dynamite. I did it while we were at Leocore Center. I was like,
yeah. But I am a fan of the idea of all them holding all the belts. Maybe not, the TNT title because they don't really have a fourth member. Unless Ted is somebody we don't know, who could be a star because he has the mask on. But them holding all the belts, I can see that happening, and sooner than later, honestly. Once this Corona thing, is over, or they're allowed to come.
He would be a really good world champion now. That's the funny thing that, like, before I was like, no, I still wanted Mox to win because I think he needs more time with that belt. But I think a year from now, you could definitely see Brody Lee as a world champion. He made me believe.
I could see Brody Lee as champion. I don't want him to beat Moxley. I think the next AEW champion needs to be a quote-unquote homegrown talent. You had Jericho, who had the name. He won the title first. And then you had Moxley, who's probably, you can fairly say, is just as big, if not bigger, than Jericho because of his relevance over the last several years. I think the next AEW champion needs to be a quote-unquote homegrown, someone like an MJF or someone along those lines. Darby Allin and Jungle Boy aren't there yet, but that's my point.
Well, we'll just hop right into it. These are our closing thoughts, viewers, and we're just going to go ahead for 10 minutes and just talk about everything that's been going on in wrestling and just close up the show that way. So, yeah, I mean, that's a great point, a homegrown talent winning the next title. I wouldn't be surprised if Brian Cage won it. It pull the trigger. I mean, he's not technically, homegrown because this is his second match in AEW, but he could but in the casual fan, he could be a homegrown talent because he's not really well known.
Right. On a national scale, he's not.
Right. On a national scale, he's not. And it could have been something like, when you were jumping ship from, NWA to WWE or WWF, they might have known him down in Atlanta in the South, but they didn't know him everywhere else. Mm-hmm. And then whoever became champion is well known.
Yeah. I think that's a great person too. They have a lot of people on this upper card level that could be like thrown into that world title picture. And like I mentioned it like 2 seconds ago. It's shocking to me because before Saturday, like I didn't know if Brody Lee could be a world champion. After this match and his promo game, he has all the bells and whistles to be a world champion. And it's very shocking that he didn't get any pass other than that one Intercontinental title run in WWE.
Where he didn't say anything.
No, he had like one promo, and I was like, and I don't even remember it.
It was weird, yeah. It was like a backstage promo. Do we feel like AEW's roster is getting overstocked now? Do you think they should stop signing people for a little bit, or just continue to sign whoever gets released?
I think if they can afford it, which only they know, then continue. If you've been watching AEW Dark, they've actually been having super
stacked.
They've been having like 8 and 9 match Darks.
Yes,
and if you're gonna, we know that AEW is eventually getting a second TV show. That was announced when they re-signed with TNT after only being around for a couple months. Let's face it. That they were going to look to add a second show. So I'm okay with it. It has to be the right talent. You were just talking about Brody Lee and how you could see him be a world champion. But I think he had great chemistry with Eric Rowan. Do you bring Eric Rowan in? I don't know. That's a good question. He's definitely somebody who I could see coming in down the road. Maybe after taking some time off, maybe refreshing and the character, the look, whatever. I could see it, but at the same token, I don't want to take TV time away from Darby Allin and Kip Sabian and other wrestlers who've been here since the beginning. So it's a very fine line. Do I want to see it? Yes, but it has to make sense. And on the same token, we already know that 10, 15, 20 minutes, call it what you want, of every Dynamite will be taken up by Cody Rhodes in that TNT title. So now you only have an hour and a half to work with, and you have to squeeze in other people there. So it's interesting. Don't get me wrong. I'm looking forward to see what they do, but I could see several more talent coming in. Eric Rowan's one of them. Zack Ryder's another, and I could see it happen.
Well, you were saying the second TV show. Carlos, when do you think that TV show would be? Do you think, obviously they won't challenge Monday, and they probably won't challenge Friday.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the fall. And it's
No, I mean, like what day of the week?
Oh, I think it's going to be on a Saturday.
That'd be
kind of how
this sign me up. Saturday morning wrestling.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I remember watching Superstars and stuff. Like that was my earliest memories, man. Like watching Shawn Michaels on like Superstars, Heartbreak Hotel, and stuff like that. But like WCW had a show right on Saturdays. Am I
Saturday
right?
night. It was Saturday night, and it was. I'm telling you, as a kid growing up in the late '80s. I mean, I grew up in the '80s, but I would make sure that I was down the basement in front of my TV at 6:00 and catch the last 5 minutes of Captain Planet just so I could not miss the beginning of NWA World Championship Wrestling.
Hell yeah, man! I mean, could you imagine that? And you know, I know NWA is doing it with Power, but make it a closed set, make it something special and old school-ish. Like Tony Khan is a student of the game, so and he's smart enough. I think we can get something special out of this. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was just like it's dark but like different, But I think, or just make it dark and just make it on Saturdays or something like that. But I think that like. In my brain, if they make it close set the way WCW used to back in the day, have these fun like interview segments and stuff, they could really build on storylines. And then Wednesday you go in like, hey man, what's up with Brian Cage? How'd he get hurt? Like, well, you gotta watch Saturday, man. You've been missing Saturday. Like that's where it's at, man. You're missing that. That's the show you gotta watch too. Like, don't forget. I think we have something special. And then with talent-wise, I wanted to chip in real quick. I think out of everyone, if I had to pick one person, I think it would be Rusev. He's going by Miro now, and he's got like a Twitch channel on. I think he's having fun with it, but that dude is a talent, and he's very charismatic, and he's a great talker. That he just never got a chance to do anything but like that random ass, like his full Bulgarian, like kind of racial stereotype accent, but. His ring ethic, I think if he doesn't work a WWE style and works a little more harder edge, dude, we got something special with him.
Yeah, I mean he's a great talent to pick up. The question would be when he debuts, is he going to be a face or a heel? Because he looks like he could be a heel, obviously, because he's got the bald head with the beard now, and that just
be like all of us.
Yeah, kind of. I mean,
that one dude online who's like, "Hey, is
I'm not
the same
bald.
person 3 times over?"
I have hair.
He might be in a little bit better shape than I am.
Yeah.
But I can see him coming back as a monster heel. Like I think
he can do both, man, and he can do comedy. That's the thing. Like he is like a Chris Jericho talent. He could do comedy. He could be a heel. He could be a face. All be believable and have a crazy work ethic.
Yeah, definitely.
He would be a perfect fit for being inner circle bodyguard.
Hell yeah.
Him and Jake Hager being
tag team. Could you imagine him and Hager?
I was just thinking him and Hager as a tag team.
Hell yeah, man. Or even Jeff Cobb if he shows back up. Like Jeff Cobb and Miro. Can you imagine that? That'd be insane. Those two small, bulky mother effers, like they just run and shop, man. Just run and shop.
Put that on the shirt. Let your son see it. Two bulky mother effers.
Switching gears, I will say I think I should start a petition to have Samoa Joe always be on the Raw announce team because he just
apparently that's the rumor now. Like he is
thank God
permanently replace Lawler. Yes.
Yeah, and apparently if he's cleared to wrestle, he's still going to be on the commentary. Apparently, unless they need him full time wrestling,
he should just be a sub. It should be a thing where someone you do a story where someone gets hurt. And a champion is being cocky and he's a new challenger. Samoa Joe just takes his shit off and then boom.
This is believable. He's a badass.
Yeah, like something like you get a cocky U.S. champion or something like that, and they hold the open U.S. titles, and no one wants to come out. And Samoa Joe's like, screw it, I'll do it. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think
any other questions you guys want to?
Oh man, I think we just had a real. Actually, I did want to bring this up. How terrible was that TNT title looking? I know it's going to be refreshed soon, but man, the initial title.
I thought it looked nice. I thought it was plain, and there's nothing wrong with plain because you mentioned earlier that they should revamp the U.S. title and make it more like. Listen, I hate the new titles. I hate the Universal title. I hate the World title. I hate the Intercontinental title. I like old school wrestling titles, and this. To me, combined the winged WWF title that Macho Man Randy Savage held in the 90s with the NWA World TV title, had that red strap and the silver plates.
Yes,
I thought it was a beautiful title. And yes, it was a little plain, and they'll probably update that with more of the plate stuff, which we heard about in the news. But I think it's a great looking title, and it's going to be. Go ahead, Nick.
I'm in the middle because I don't hate it and I don't love it. It's the only thing I guess I dislike about it is the fact that it's a red strap. I'm never a fan of having like the strap be red or blue or purple or orca, like just black. Just
I think that's an honor to his father, Dusty, who held the NWA World TV title in the '80s and had a red strap. So I think that's a throwback to not only TNT but TBS is part of the Time Warner family, cable TV family. So that TV title was defended on TBS. I think it was kind of a throwback to have that red, because it's not like the red of the Universal title. It's a different red altogether. It's that red of the NWA World TV title. I think,
which is I think is now the NWA National title, correct?
Yeah,
it's being revamped for that. Yeah, I don't mind the red. I think it's just that the center plate to me looks like when you go to Great Adventure. Or like any other, like you put like a quarter in and it squishes it. That's what it looked like to me, just like a pressed nickel. I was like, it just needs a little more. I don't mind necessarily the silver because I think that color scheme when like Cody came out and his lower third was like red and silver. I thought that was pretty cool, but it needs a little more work in the center. And then that weird side plate with like the White House or it looks like a plantation house. I don't know what the hell that was.
Ted Turner's mansion. I mean, come on.
Oh my God, was it?
I'm all about this. I like this championship belt. Trust me.
They had to say that because I was like, is this a plantation house? Like, I don't feel comfortable liking this title. I just found out Cody's Cuban. like
I heard online it was either Ted Turner's mansion or it was Techwood Draft Studios, which is where they taped all the NWA shows from the 80s. So it was one of those two, but I heard both.
Well, all right, that'd be awesome. And then I guess with that title too, and I know we kind of ran out, but like, where would you put like some kind of notification that they're the champion? Like, do you put something like with their name in the center? Like that's what Moxley has. Like you put the name.
I would say no, because I think this title more than any other title that they have is going to probably change hands more frequently than it's defended every week. I mean, I think you give Cody a nice, long, decent first run, and then you put somebody else over, and then you have like 2 or 3 week runs where like, hey, I had to watch this match because we could see a new champion.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah.
So I think hold off on the plates. Let it be more generic.
About the belt.
Okay. Yeah. I agree. I'm excited for the next design, and I'm a little better about the side plates now. Knowing that might be Ted Turner's house. I was like, what is this?
Let's fact check that, and we'll mention it next week on the because it was either Ted Turner's mansion or it was Techwood Draft Studios. I read both. I don't know which is true.
Yeah, we'll get our stat boy on that one.
But guys, we had a fun look. A 1 hour flew by like that. We talked AEW, NXT, bro. Okay, we talked a lot of
bro.
PR is back, and they're on a national stage which focuses on wrestling. It's double or nothing. Fantastic show, top to bottom. A fun week, and I'll tell you what. I think it all kind of coincided with the fact that this week MLB, NHL, and NBA all kind of made plans to get back to normal, and I think that kind of came through on the wrestling scene. These shows were fun this week. I watched NXT, loved every second of it. Watched AEW, didn't watch Smackdown. I don't have time for that in Raw. My mentality is coming back more positive because we have dates in our minds, and I think that we're going to see a better product going forward from wrestling than we have in the last couple months. So I look forward to next week's show where we talk about this week in wrestling. For Carlos, Nick, I am Mark, and for Remy watching at home, we missed you, buddy. Come on back. We'll see you next time on the Entrance Rant Podcast. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
See you guys.
Thank you for listening to the Entrance Rant Podcast. Please like us on Facebook at the Entrance Rant Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at the Entrance Rant Pod, and subscribe to us on YouTube by searching for the Entrance Rant Podcast. We'll see you next time.